A week passed up. Minjun, the famously insomniac billionaire, had slept every night since Adora arrived. At first, he chalked it up to coincidence. Maybe his mind was finally calming down. Perhaps he had just hit the limit of his exhaustion. But every night, as Adora sang quietly in the kitchen or living room, sometimes while folding clothes, while cooking, he drifted off like a child wrapped in a familiar blanket. The songs didn't have words he understood. They were simple, melodic, and earthy, yet they carried something deeper than meaning. They carried feeling. She was healing something in him without even knowing it, and she never asked for anything in return. One evening, after a long day of meetings, Minjun returned to the penthouse to find Adora on the balcony, hair tied in a scarf, staring at the city lights. Dinner was already made: pepper soup and sticky rice, and the scent teased his senses. But it was her presence that pulled him in more than the food. "Waiting for someone?" he asked lightly. She turned, surprised. "Not anymore." He stepped onto the balcony beside her. "You like it up here?" Adora nodded. "Back home, we didn't have tall buildings like this. But I used to climb the roof and watch the stars." He followed her gaze. "Do you miss it?" She breathed in the night air. "Sometimes, but pain makes people leave home. Hope keeps them gone." "I'm still holding on to both." Minjun was quiet for a while. Then he asked, "You've been in Korea how long?" "Almost a year. I came on a student visa, but things fell apart. My hostel roommate left, rent doubled. I had no family here. I had to make a choice: go home empty or stay and push." "And you pushed?" Adora smiled faintly. "I pushed." "You're brave." "No," she said gently. "I'm just tired of giving up." Minjun looked at her. Really looked. She wasn't just surviving. She was choosing strength every day in a foreign country, with no help, no handouts. Something inside him softened further. "You know," he said, "when I started my company, I was 22. No money, no backers, just an idea and pure desperation." She glanced at him, surprised. "Really? I thought you came from wealth." He shook his head. "My father disowned me when I refused to join his manufacturing empire. Said I was throwing away the family name. I slept in my office too once. Ate instant noodles every day for 6 months." Adora chuckled. "So we're both orphans of ambition." "Exactly." Their laughter faded into a comfortable silence. Then she turned to him and asked softly, "Why did you help me, Minjun?" He paused. No one had asked him that directly. "I don't know," he answered honestly. "At first, it was guilt, but now I think I just enjoy having someone real around." She tilted her head. "Real? People around me usually want something: contracts, influence, money. You didn't ask for anything. You just showed up, survived, and kept going. I didn't think you noticed me." "I always noticed you," he said. Adora looked away, cheeks warming. "That's dangerous talk for a boss." He smiled. "I'm just being honest." That night, as Adora sang in the kitchen while drying plates, Minjun lingered in the hallway watching her. He didn't need the lullaby to sleep anymore, but he found himself waiting for it anyway. Not because it made him rest, but because it made him feel. The next morning, he brought her a gift: a tiny microphone and a small speaker. "What's this?" she asked, eyes wide. "For your songs," he said. "You hum into the mic, and the speaker can play it in my room. You don't have to do it live every night." She blinked. "You want me to record lullabies?" "Only if you want to," he said quickly. "I don't mean to pressure you." But to his surprise, her face lit up with joy. "I've always wanted to record music," she admitted. "Back home, I dreamed of being a singer." Minjun smiled. "Then start with this. The world can wait. I just want the first album." They laughed together, something blooming quietly between them. Not just comfort now, but closeness. Not just warmth, but wonder. Later that week, they shared their first non-work outing. Minjun had a last-minute business dinner and asked Adora to come. "Not as staff," he clarified. "Just as someone I trust." She wore a simple dress, yellow with tiny flower patterns, and no makeup. But when she walked into the hotel lobby, the entire room seemed to shift. Executives whispered. Someone asked if she was a visiting diplomat. Minjun stood proudly beside her, introducing her simply as my guest. At dinner, she was graceful, intelligent, charming. She made one of the toughest investors laugh, a man who hadn't smiled in years. On the drive home, Minjun glanced at her. You were brilliant tonight. Adora shrugged. I just told the truth. That's exactly why it worked. She looked at him seriously. Minjun, what are we? He hesitated, then said softly, I don't know, but I don't want you to go. Her voice barely rose above the hum of the car. Then I'll stay, as long as you let me be myself. He nodded. That's all I've ever wanted. And in the silence that followed, their hearts began rewriting the rhythm of their lives, no longer solo songs, but something like a duet. Asterisk. The season shifted. Seoul's late spring brought warmth and blooming cherry blossoms, and with it, an unspoken change between Minjun and Adora. They still shared quiet meals and late-night music, but now glances lingered longer. Conversations grew softer, deeper. Their laughter carried something more tender, something untested but inevitable. They weren't just strangers under the same roof anymore. They were something else now. Something closer. One morning, Adora walked into Minjun's study holding a tray of breakfast, her new habit, though he never asked for it. He looked up from his laptop. You're spoiling me, she smiled. You need it. You get to focus and forget to eat. He gave a mock sigh. What would I do without you? Probably starve, she teased. He took a bite of the sweet potato omelet she made and paused. This is better than last time. I'm experimenting, she said. Food is like music. Every version tells a different story. He looked at her, then really looked. You say things like that and expect me not to fall for you, she froze, the fork in her hand stilling. Minjun blinked. I'm sorry. No, she said, quietly. Don't take it back. He waited. Then she added, barely above a whisper, I think I'm falling too. Later that day, things took a sharp turn. The company's gossip blogs had picked up a blurry photo from the hotel dinner weeks ago. Minjun and Adora stepping out of a black car, smiling. The headline, Billionaire CEO's mystery date, employee or lover. By the afternoon, the office buzzed like a swarm of bees. Some were curious, others were cruel. And by evening, Minjun's board of directors requested an emergency meeting. He brought Adora with him. Are you sure? She asked, worried. I don't want to make things worse. He touched her arm gently. You didn't do anything wrong. I won't hide you. The meeting was tense. The board members were stern-faced men and women in expensive suits who rarely heard no. This could be a PR nightmare, one said. Dating a junior employee, especially a foreigner, could be seen as favoritism. Scandal. She doesn't work under me, Minjun replied calmly. She's not in management, and she's staying with me because I offered her a safe place to sleep. Still, another chimed in. You're jeopardizing the company's image. Investors might back out. Minjun stood. If anyone leaves because I showed kindness and fell in love, then let them go. Silence. Adora sat quietly beside him, hands folded, gaze steady. She didn't shrink or apologize. She didn't let the shame others tried to hand her settle on her skin. She belonged here, and she knew it. When they left the boardroom, Adora touched his arm. You didn't have to defend me like that. I wasn't defending you, he said. I was defending us. The fallout wasn't as terrible as they feared. In fact, the opposite happened. Photos of Adora began circulating online. But instead of scandal, they sparked admiration. Young professionals across Korea, especially immigrants, and women shared her story. #Adora effect started trending. She worked hard, she stayed quiet, and now she's being seen. Finally, we need more stories like this, real people in powerful places. And when a major food blogger posted about her jollof rice recipe, which Minjun had casually mentioned in a podcast, her Instagram once, Empty exploded with thousands of followers. Overnight, Adora became something she never planned to be visible. That weekend, Ninjun surprised her with a small gathering on the rooftop of his penthouse. Just the two of them. Under string lights, a playlist of her favorite songs playing softly, a low table set with her favorite dishes, some she had made, others ordered from a Nigerian Korean fusion restaurant she adored. She laughed as she walked up to the scene. "What is all this?" He handed her a small wrapped box. "Open it." Inside was a delicate gold necklace with a treble clef and a tiny moon charm. "For your music," he said, "and for how you brought rest into my nights." Adora looked at him, overwhelmed. "I don't know how to describe it," he continued. "I've been successful for years, rich, powerful. But until you walked into my life, I was always tired, empty." She stepped closer, and now he reached for her hand. "Now I dreamed." She didn't say anything. She just kissed him softly, like her lullabies. Like the first bite of warm food after a storm. And in that kiss, every question was answered. They didn't announce their relationship to the world. They didn't need to. It was in the way they looked at each other, the way they moved in sync, the way her voice filled his home like sunlight. People still whispered. But Minjun stopped caring what people thought, because for the first time, he had something worth holding onto, not a deal, not a title, a present.